What is going on, RotoGrinders? Dean here. Once again, filling in for Stevie for the morning grind. Stevie's still knocking out his NASCAR content. If you guys want to hit that up, of course, find Stevie's package in the marketplace there for RotoGrinders. We are going to continue doing our series of, we're interviewing all sorts of DFS personalities. Not a lot of sports going on out there. Of course, there is some MMA and some NASCAR. And I believe on Thursday, we're going to have an MMA show. That's the plan as of right now, some actual DFS content. With that said, continuing the series, we previously interviewed Hedgehopper, the likes of Beer Makers Fan, EMAC, Grant Neefer, Rusty Nuts, all sorts of DFS personalities. We're going to bring in, we talked to Andy Means. This guy knows Andy Means pretty well. It's the chief meteorologist here at RotoGrinders. It's Kevin Roth. What's going on, Roth?
I feel very low on the totem pole. You got like 19 people, and then you're like, shit, we got to get Roth. We got to bring in Roth.
All right, I called 17 people. They all said no. Screw it, I'll ask Roth.
No, I'm excited to join you, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but I'm gonna bring the goods. So I'm excited.
Yeah, well, first of all, you're coming at me for saying, hey, I'm asking you last, and you're low on the totem pole, and yada, yada, yada. I've seen you doing some DraftKings Madden simulation videos, and you wore a sports coat for that. And here, you're like, is this sports coat worthy? No, I'm just going to wear a casual T-shirt.
I thought that this was just going to be audio, to be fair. I would have had the sports coat. I would have been dressed up. I thought it was all audio. So that is why I gypped you on the outfit. Sorry.
Yeah, for those that aren't aware, of course, we're on the podcast feed. We're also on YouTube as well. So you can see Roth just insulting me in his T-shirt and in his non-sports jacket. I should say, we should start with this. Congratulations, you're a new dad for like less than a month, right?
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. She's like between 3 and 4 weeks, and it's just insane. Like I got pooped on the other day, like full on, totally pooped on. It throws up and screams, but like at the end of the day, you're just like, this is the best it's ever been. Like, how is that possible? My life, by all objective measurements, is terrible right now. Like, it is truly awful, but it's just something about it. Everyone says it, but you don't know it until it's you. And I back up what everybody says about having a baby. Do it. It's worth it.
So it's funny you mentioned the poop because to prep for these shows, I go through your Twitter. I check like kind of your tweets, at least like the ones that you actually tweet out, not your conversations with everybody.
Did I tweet about poop?
Yeah, you said something to the effect of, you actually had a poll about poop. I'm not sure if you recall, and you were talking about how basically one of your surprises was that the changing of the diapers was not as disturbing or not as gross as you anticipated, and you're asking if this changes. And apparently it does change. I guess that's what happens. I'm an expert in this field, so I can't speak to it.
It was very disheartening because I was kind of worried about changing the diapers. And then I started doing it. I was like, this is easy. This is not gross one bit. And I was all excited. I thought that either A, my baby just didn't have gross poops, or B, I was some kind of super macho man with like an iron stomach. And then I tweeted it out and everyone was like, no, it doesn't get gross till they start eating. Then they have real human poops. And that is disgusting. And I was like, oh, well, that's disheartening.
Buckle up. I know you were lobbying, on RG for multiple times when you were doing the crunch time with Andy. It's sort of come up about the name of your child. So I guess you lost out on this because you wanted Luca was not the front runner according to you, and
I wanted Luca didn't win out. Luca Doncic Roth was number one, and that got shut down.
Yeah, imagine why.
Yeah, if it was going to be a boy, there was a good chance it would have been Cameron after one of our RG leaders. But then it was a girl, so pivot.
Cam is kind of it's kind of unisex, isn't it?
I feel like Cam could probably go either way. Yeah, I think it could go either way. But we went with Charlie, which is another unisex name. So a girl named Charlie. I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was cool. And then everyone was like, "Oh, I guess you really wanted a boy." It's like, no, I just think it's a cool name. Shut up.
It's a good name. I'm not that you need my approval. I'm sure, I guess everybody, like all sorts of friends and family, everybody's going to chime in and give their advice, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so it's going well. I have a baby. I'm not sleeping, but I'm happy. So that's kind of that in a nutshell.
And you're also forecasting KBO games, which is something you probably could not have foreseen. And the Madden simulations, what's that's like? That's just wild. You're forecasting fake snow.
So we'll talk about that. First off, on the KBO thing, I am kind of amazed at how big of an audience I have for it. Like the other night, I tweeted, "There's no weather. Don't click this link." That was literally my tweet. And it got like 400 people clicked the link. I was like, even when I say there's nothing happening, but I'm just happy to have baseball to forecast for. So I like it's cool. The KBO is cool. What's disappointing about it is that the weather isn't as varied as it is like in the United States. It's 95 degrees here and it's 32 degrees here. In the KBO, it's South Korea. It's not this huge sprawling landmass. So the weather's generally kind of similar. But it's like I said, I'm just happy to have sports to forecast for.
Is it not challenging enough for you?
No, it's not that it's not challenging. It's that I feel like there's not a big payoff. I can't be like, oh, this is the game to stack. It's 95 degrees with a 20-mile-per-hour wind. It's all the same in every spot. So it's just not quite as in-depth as MLB.
We don't have a Korean baseball weather edge just yet?
No, I don't think that's coming. But hey, real sports is better than the Madden sports.
Of course, you're the chief meteorologist here at RotoGrinders. Did you always want to be a meteorologist? Did you always like rain and snow and blizzards and things of that sort? When you were a kid, did you want to be a meteorologist? Do you want to be like an athlete or what?
I always wanted to be a scientist. That was my thing. I always loved science. And people were like, what do you want to be? I was like, I'm going to be a scientist. And I'm like, that's not a real job. Like there has to be a job associated with that. And just randomly in like middle school, I decided I'm going to be a meteorologist. I'm going to be a weatherman. It's science, but I get to put on a sports coat. I like doing that. I get to talk to the people. I like doing that. I just thought this is a blend of what I like and what I'm good at. And throughout high school and into college, people are like, no, really, what are you going to be? And I was like, not really. I'm going to be a weatherman. They're like, okay, buddy. And I just stuck with it.
Did you kill the curve for the science fair like in 6th grade? Did you absolutely crush it?
No. No, I was so bad at the science fair. I would fail every science fair because you really have to prep for that. And organization and preparation, not my strong suits. So science fair was not good for me, though I did love the science.
Bill Nye, the science guy, was that on the DVR when you were a youngster?
Big fan of Bill. Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, those guys?
Like yeah. That? Oh, yeah. Bill these days gets a little on the political side, and he pretends that he's a meteorologist, which kind of pisses me off because he's not, But I'll forgive him because he's a childhood hero of mine.
So, yeah. So what do you mean by pretends he's a meteorologist? There's a difference between a meteorologist and it's insulting to call you a weatherman, I think, right? I don't want to insult you.
So technically, yes. Because a weatherman, back in the day, a weatherman was just someone on TV saying the weather. And 9 times out of 10, they did not have a degree in meteorology, so they were a weatherman. If you were a meteorologist, you are a degreed meteorologist. I have a master's degree in meteorology, so it could be looked upon as a slight to just say I'm a weatherman. I don't actually care. I give people crap about it when they do, but I don't really care. But nowadays, I would say 95 out of every 100 people on TV are actual meteorologists. There's very few just weathermen left. Like Al Roker is the last one. He's it.
He's a legacy.
Right, exactly. But yeah, most everyone now has a degree.
Even like the local news, like this is a good looking person. We're not really sure what to place them. Let's just make them a weather person. Those are all qualified as well, as far as you can tell.
Yeah, weather's just too hard to do if you don't know what you're talking about. It's kind of complex and difficult. So yeah, a lot of times those people, they'll be like, hey, go get a degree in weather and we'll bring you back here and pay you a bunch of money. So
hey, some people on DFS Twitter would say, hey, why do I need Roth? All I got to do is go on weather.com.
So annoying. If you're listening to the podcast, you can't see my face right now, but it's so annoying. Here's the deal with that. Like, yes, you can do your own research. Like, absolutely, you can do your own research. If you want to take the time to forecast for 30 baseball games and all these other things and go to your various sites, that's fine. You can do it, and you can probably get not quite as good as what I can get, but you can get 60% of what I can do doing that. But it's not going to be as good. Weather.com is just one forecast model, and it just says, this is 100% what will happen. And that is not 100% what will happen. That's why you look at different forecast models and look at live radar. And I'm doing the work for you. Why are these people complaining, Dean? I'm doing the work. And then they're like, why don't I just go to weather.com? Like, well, why don't you? Like, go for it. I don't care.
Because one time the weather didn't go the right way for you.
Right.
You failed them, and that you're only as good as your last at bat, and that's it. That's it.
Yes. The failures happen. Like, I openly acknowledge I will never get them all right. I don't even try to expect to get them all right in a season. But you're not going to do better just going to weather.com. I promise you that.
And then goofy things happen also, like what is it? The Washington Nationals happen where they always do weird things where they have what you're looking at like a 2.5 to 3 hour opening, and like they're just not playing for whatever reason. Then they wait the 2.5 to 3 hours, they start playing, and then it starts raining. It's like, well, how did you not see that coming? And you saw that coming 3 hours ago, and that drives you nuts.
Yeah, it's just so dumb. Who's in charge of these decisions? I honestly think every team should have a professional meteorologist on staff. The Twins do, and the Twins never make a bad weather decision. They do it right every single night. And every night I'm like, oh, well, this is kind of dicey, but this is what I think is going to happen. The meteorologist advises them in this direction. It works so well. And then there's other teams like the Miami Marlins who had a rain out or had a rain delay when they've got a dome because they just looked at weather.com. But if every team had a meteorologist, then it would be more forecasting just the weather and less forecasting how these boneheads are going to react to the weather, which is difficult.
You mentioned Cameron, co-founder here at RotoGrinders is the name. I believe Cameron, graduate of Florida, University of Florida. Didn't you go to University of Florida as well? I think that's where you met. I think that's kind of the connection between you two.
No, I went to FSU actually.
Oh,
so we are bitter rivals to the death.
I got that wrong. My apologies.
Yeah.
Why did I think you went to Florida? Do you have any Florida ties?
I mean, I live in Florida, Florida State. I mean, I don't live currently in Florida. I grew up in Florida. I went to Florida State, and Cam and I did meet through mutual friends, that I had that went to Florida. So
was Florida State like your only option, your favorite option? How'd you land at Florida State?
I kind of growing up, I just did whatever my brother did, and he went to Florida State. He was a year older than me, and he went to Florida State, and I was like, that works for me. What do I need to get in there? Oh, literally nothing. Literally anything. All right, cool. Yeah, let's go.
You don't have to crush the science fair to get into Florida State. I'm fairly certain of that.
Yeah, I got in pretty easily there. But I went to Florida State to become a meteorologist. And Dean, I could not have failed worse.
Okay, tell me how.
I was a terrible student. I got to school and I was the person that thought like, this is super fun. Like, I'm here to have a good time and not to be a student. And so I was almost failing out of school and I was like super depressed. It was truly the lowest part of my life was being at Florida State. I wasn't setting goals for myself. I wasn't achieving goals. And I almost just quit the whole thing. I almost just went home and was like, screw it. I'm going to be a roofer, which is like my go-to in my head.
That's your default?
Yeah, that's my default. Like whenever times get tough, I'm like, screw it. I'm going to go be a roofer, which is a very difficult job. I would not actually want to be a roofer.
Oh, that's got to be so hard.
Yeah, it's hot. And it's anyway. So I was really struggling through Florida State trying to be a meteorologist. The classes, there's physics and calculus. Like the classes to be a meteorologist are not easy. And so towards the end, I went to my guidance counselor. I'm like, well, you have two options. You can either try to graduate as a meteorologist and fail and get kicked out, or you can switch to geography and graduate. I'm like, well, I guess I'm a geography major now. But making that change, so I made that change. I went to, after 9 years in undergrad or something ridiculous, I went to Mississippi State to get my master's degree. And that was when instead of, calculus and all this, they were actually teaching me weather. They were teaching me things I cared about. They were teaching me the science, not just the math. And then I got super interested in it. And then I became a very, very, very good student. And, the ball started to get rolling into don't be a screw up in life, reach for something and achieve.
It clicked at some point where you kind of figured out, I actually have to do something.
Exactly.
In college, it's time management, right? It's not that hard. You have a couple. It's funny. You go to high school and you have 7 hours or 8 hours straight, and you wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning or 6:30 in the morning, whatever it is, and you just keep going to classes. And in college, you're like, oh man, today's a rough day. I got a class at 9 and a class at 12. I got 2 classes, man.
Yeah.
How do I do this?
Yeah. It was just not my strong suit, and it certainly was not the highlight of my life. But kind of, just gritted my way through it, and then it's been looking up since then.
Were you the guy just like playing video games and watching TV all day, or were you partying a little bit, or kind of a little bit from column A, a little from column B?
It was a bit of both. I will tell you, became very good at beer pong and was ranked 83rd in the world at Halo. So,
oh wow!
So I think it was not just a bit of both; it was probably a whole lot of both of those things.
Fair enough. Congratulations on that and that Halo ranking.
Thank you. Yeah, top 100 in the world. I was like, well, if nothing else works out, at least I got that.
You went to high school in Florida?
I did, yes.
Okay. And is it around the Tallahassee area you grew up?
No, God, no. Nobody grows up there. Sorry to the people who are listening who grew up there.
Some people grew up there. It's a big city.
Tallahassee's like the deep South. It's not like I grew up in Tampa, which is a normal city. And Tallahassee's like, you're in the deep South. You're not even in Florida anymore when you go to Tallahassee.
Well, the tricky thing with Florida, I'm from South Florida, and I always said the way I think about it is the more north you go, the more southern it gets.
Yes, and the more southern you go, the more like you're basically in New York.
Yeah,
in South Florida.
Yeah, it's really weird how to, and I know Florida's in the South like geographically, but it depends where you're at in Florida. There's different parts of Florida, different pockets for sure. So why Mississippi State?
Oh, they have by far the best weather school. I think it's something like 60% of on-air meteorologists are from Mississippi State. So they're the program. If you want to be a TV weather guy, you go to Mississippi State.
I did not know that. I was not.
Yeah, like everybody on your local TV, they went to Mississippi State.
Is there any reason why, or just that's just been the tradition and it's just kind of like that's just stuck? Or
I think they were one of the first ones to have a big a broadcast program. So there were schools doing meteorology, but none of the schools were incorporating broadcast classes, like how to point at a green screen. There's a lot more to it than that. But there are things you need to know about broadcasting. And Mississippi State was the first school to be like, hey, we're going to teach you how to be a meteorologist, but we're also going to teach you how to be a weatherman. And it took off from there.
So Mississippi State or Florida State, who do you have ties to when it comes to athletics? Or neither?
Easy. I'm not a huge college fan, but it's definitely Mississippi State over Florida State, because when I was at Florida State, it was like after the Bowden years, or maybe just towards the tail end, where like every year preseason ranked in the top 10, and then every year we go like 6 and 8. It was just like, how do we consistently suck? We're supposed to be good. Every year there were high expectations, and literally every single year I was there, we were terrible. So I actually kind of hate Florida State because of that.
Well, there you go. Oh man, that's some hot takes there.
Yeah.
The people are going to be angry. You've taken shots at the city. You've taken shots at the school.
I told you it was a low part of my life. The whole 7 years of undergrad, or however how long it is. I've lost track. It was dark.
So that's 7 years, and that's not including Mississippi State. You were on the Van Wilder program.
I mean, I'm quasi kidding, but it was certainly significantly more than 4. I'll tell you that.
Fair enough. You get out of Mississippi State, you're talking about being on TV and being a meteorologist. But did you find a job fairly easily? And if you did, I would imagine probably a small market.
Yeah. I told my professor my first semester, I was like, all I want is to be good enough to work at a shitty station. And he was like, all right, we can do that. And by the end of the semester, I got a call from Greenville, Mississippi, which as of, I think 6 years ago, Greenville, Mississippi still had segregated prom. That's how like podunk backwoods Greenville, Mississippi is. So I went to be the weekend meteorologist in Greenville, Mississippi. Fortunately, I was still in school. And it was like a 3-hour drive. So I would just drive there in the weekends. They'd put me up in a legitimately roach-infested motel with cigarette burns in the sheets. But I didn't have to live there is the good news. So I worked that, got a little experience. Also, little known fact, Greenville, Mississippi, the water is brown. Like the tap water is brown. So you go and check into the hotel and there's a sign that says, our water is brown. It's perfectly fine to drink.
No, that's what it says.
I swear. Yeah.
Don't be alarmed.
Don't be alarmed. So you shower in brown water. I guess the roots from the nearby river like dye the water. But it is terrifying. I wouldn't drink it. I'll tell you that.
They don't put that in the brochure, I imagine. No. They hit you that when you get there. It's in the fine print.
Yeah.
And do you remember what you got paid? Probably nothing, right?
No, I do. It was I think it was $8.25 an hour to be on TV. So definitely could have made more money delivering pizzas, like significantly more money delivering pizzas. And you have to buy your own wardrobe and do all that jazz. And they're
Really?
not paying. Yeah. They're not paying for your wardrobe. They're not paying for your gas to drive in and out, 3 hours each way.
So it's basically a net loss, but it's just an investment
absolutely.
you're buying yourself experience essentially.
Yeah. So it was huge because then when I graduated Mississippi State, everyone that I was working with, everyone I went to school with who didn't have jobs in school had to go move to one of those not terrible. I liked it. It was just podunk places. And you have to sign like a 2 or 3 year contract and you got to live there for just 2 or 3 years. So I feel like I got off light doing weekends. My first full-time job was in Shreveport, Louisiana. And coming from Greenville, Mississippi, Shreveport, Louisiana, like you think you're in New York
Moving
City.
on up, man.
Yeah. I thought I made it at that point for sure.
Do you remember like when you your first time on air in Greenville, Mississippi? Were you nervous? Did you say anything goofy within the first couple of weeks? I don't know how many people are watching. Small town. I Wikipedia'd it. Apparently, population 40,000. If I'm looking at this right, does that sound about right to you?
It's not a lot of people. Yeah, it's not a lot. It's very small. It's not a lot of people. It's one of the smallest markets in the country. I was just, I've got a good one. I've got a good, like, whoops, I screwed up story about, all right. So this is when I just started in Shreveport and I was brand new. And again, like I thought this is big time market, like don't screw it up. You got this, Kevin. So I'm doing my weather and all of a sudden on the green screen behind me where my graphics are, they pop up a Marine, like a photo of a Marine. And I'm in the middle of talking about water restrictions because there's a drought ongoing. So I'm talking about water restrictions. All of a sudden they pop up this Marine. So I play it smooth, because I'm pretty good. I'm like, so, don't water your lawn. Look at this guy. He won't be watering his lawn. Back to you, Tom. And I'm like, played it off. Got him. Goes to Tom. They pop back up the photo of the Marine and they're like, breaking news, a Shreveport Marine has died today. And I had just said he won't be watering his lawn. Like,
oh no.
It was so bad. I thought I was going to get fired. Like right there. I thought I was going to get fired right then and there.
Your intent is good. Of course, you don't know these details.
I had no idea that they were, I guess I should have known. Why would they pop up a photo of a Marine unless there was bad news attached to it? But it's not good.
Did you get a stern lecturing when you got off air?
Nothing. Nobody. But I could see it. As soon as I said it, I looked at the anchor and we made eye contact and I could just see it in his eyes. He was just like, not good, man. Not good.
Are you on any of those YouTube collaborations, of all the anchor goof ups? I mean, I'm sure you've seen them before.
Yeah, no, I love watching all the fails. All my friends are on those. I've had plenty of embarrassing fails, but I don't think I've ever been caught on one of them. I probably shouldn't even talk about the fails I have. People will find them. They'll dig them up.
But how long were you at Shreveport for?
I was in Shreveport for 2 years, and I had just signed a contract to be there for 1 more year. And I got a call from a news director in Dallas saying, hey, we want to hire you here. And I was like, well, I mean, that's a lot bigger than Shreveport. Dallas is a significant upgrade. So I told them, I was like, well, I just signed a contract. And they're like, I don't care. We'll buy you out. I was like, really? Yeah. Yeah. I was like, oh, man. So I went into my news director in Shreveport and I was like, all right, I'm leaving. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm quitting. They're like, all right, well, you owe us $20,000. And I was like, okay.
Talk to Dallas. They got it.
Yeah. I can talk to my team. They got it.
Is that somebody's job? I guess that's probably somebody's job to watch all the smaller like and just sort of like a scout almost. Is that a thing that people
do? Definitely there's talent pools that does exist, but this actually happened through I had applied to this job in Dallas and the news director was watching the video. And a friend that I had worked with in Shreveport happened to be walking by as she was watching my video. And she was like, oh, that's Kevin. And the news director was like, oh, yeah, you know? And she was like, yeah, he's so great. He's so nice. He's an awesome meteorologist, yada, yada. She was like, all right, let's bring him in. And it's little things and that's why don't be a dick. Don't just be a good person and good things will happen to you. This was a prime example. So many people don't care about their production staff or boss around people who they think are beneath them. And if you do that, it will catch up to you. And if you're a good person in general and you do the right thing, that will also pay off. Karma is real.
It's wild, the little things, like the 3 or 4 like little decisions that you think at the time mean absolutely nothing. But
Yep.
yeah, and if that woman wasn't walking by at that time, who knows where you? I mean,
Exactly.
you might have ended up in Dallas. You might end up in New York for all you know. Who knows?
Right.
It's just kind of wild how that works out. You're in Dallas. How long were you in Dallas for?
I was in Dallas for about 1 year when I got the message.
Okay, well, what's the message?
I was building drama.
Are you gonna play password?
Yeah, I'm building the drama. I got a message from a friend on Facebook, and it said, I have a friend who's looking to hire a meteorologist. I have no idea what it's for, but you should reach out to him. Here is their name, Cameron McMillan.
There you go. All right.
Yeah. And so I reached out. He said, we need a meteorologist. Sorry, am I jumping ahead? Am I?
No, you're good. Keep going.
Right on schedule. He said, hey, we're looking for a meteorologist who knows sports, who can do sports weather. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. Like these are the two things I love. I'm a huge sports nut. I don't know if people know that about me. People just think I'm a nerdy weatherman. I am a huge, huge sports nut, even before I am a meteorologist. So when these two things came together, and I was like, oh my God, this is just a perfect opportunity. At the time, I didn't even think I could be helpful. I was just like, I don't know if I can forecast if baseball games are going to get rained out, because that's what it was for. But I told him, I was like, I can try it. We'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. And it went really, really well.
This is what, 2014, 2015? What year are we talking? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think 14, 15. That's about right. Because I've been with RotoGrinders for 5 years at least. Yeah.
You're a sports fan. Did you know much about RotoGrinders or even just DFS and in general? Maybe I'm not sure if this is when FanDuel and DK did their crazy bombarding of commercials during one football season. Are you aware of the DFS world when you're presented this offer?
Nope, had no idea what DFS was. I knew what fantasy, I played fantasy sports, of course, but I'd never heard of DFS. And this was about a year before the crazy cash spend from DraftKings and FanDuel. So it wasn't really on the national radar either. But I said, okay, yeah, sign me up. And I started doing it, and it just gradually kept building, and people started to show more interest. And from 7 years in TV, I had maybe 3,000 Twitter followers. And after like 6 weeks doing weather, I suddenly had 10,000. I was like, wait a second, there's something to this. This is information that the people need.
You currently have over 45,000. I just checked right now, a quick little search. And what is your Twitter feed? What does your mentions look like on a night where there's like multiple potential rainouts? If a game is about to get rained out, or like it's a game delayed in the middle, your mentions must be crazy, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit much, especially if it goes wrong, and sometimes I'm like, I don't even want to see, I don't even want to deal with it.
Yeah.
But like 99% of them are positive, and people genuinely asking like, hey, what's your take on this? Like, I'm not holding you responsible if you think it's 50-50, but if it's 51-49, you tell me what that 51 is. I'm like, all right,
yeah,
this is it.
People want their percentages. Like, give me the percent of,
yes.
And like, it's hard. I'm sure it's hard to pin down because you're weighing so many different factors, and not just the weather factors, but like the human factors of like, well, does this team want to actually play this game? And
right.
Sometimes that matters before the game actually starts. I think the umpires get control after the game starts. I think that's how that works.
Yep. But DFS players in general are really smart people. Like, there's not a whole lot of dummies still in DFS, because if they started, they're out of money and they're gone. I think this is a very educated group. So people understand probabilities, people understand math, and they understand uncertainties. So really, by and large, I think it's gone over pretty well.
Since we're on that, let's talk about the 1% for a second. The meanest tweets you've ever got. Like, do any sort of stand out? Of course, I think you've had a few famous. I don't know if famous is the right word, but Twitter spats, I guess we can say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so before I knew Draft Cheat, I didn't know who he was. He was just like one of the many trolls. I had a bunch of trolls. I started blocking them. I didn't as it turns out now, I actually really like him. Like, he seems to be really funny, and yes, he's occasionally a jerk, but whatever, he's funny. He was giving me crap, and in hindsight, I would have handled it very differently. But at the time, he found, it's tough to piss me off. But he was able to find the one little chink in my armor, and he just went after it. And I was just infuriated. I remember being legitimately pissed off. And I just responded like, how about you say that in person and I will break my hand on your face? Like, I'm not used to people coming at me.
You don't seem like a violent guy. It doesn't seem like something you typically say or resort to.
No, I'm not. I've been in, I've fight.
Oh,
yeah.
Like, this is what happened at Florida State.
Right. Yeah, exactly. This is the dark age of Florida State. I was just like, all right, let's go, but in hindsight, that was silly. Really, what he said was probably funny. I don't even remember what it was at the time. I just remember he really pissed me off. But then he started doing the Hitler videos and all this hilarious content. And I was like, wait a second, I like this guy.
You probably gained followers out of it for what it's worth.
Yeah, I probably did. But also it like showed the other trolls that they can get to me. It like showed like, oh, you can get a funny response if you go after Kevin. But now I hit him with the block. I'm pretty quick on the block because
yeah. What if you can guess, like how many people you think you have blocked? Over 100?
No. I'd say maybe 20, 30.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah. But it's just I've gotten to the point now where I don't need to deal with you. Like if you're coming at me being an a-hole once, I'm like, all right, you do it twice, and I'm like, hey, like why don't you chill out? You do it 3 times, I'm like, I don't really need you in my life. Like block. There we go. Moving on.
Staying with baseball, 3 strikes. I guess that's how that works.
Exactly. Yeah, three strikes and you're out. But yeah, can we go back to the Twitter thing really quick?
Please.
The growth, like the growth of my followers, because I feel like I noticed a turning point.
Okay.
It was a clear turning point. I was, I don't know if ashamed is the right word of my job, but I was embarrassed about sports weather, about being a DFS meteorologist. Because here I was on a nationally syndicated TV show at the time out of Dallas. And at night, I'm tweeting about baseball rainouts, and I'm followed by all these. In my head, I'm going to be the next Al Roker. I'm headed to New York City. And I was the trajectory going well for this. So I was embarrassed to be tweeting this stuff in front of my colleagues, these other television meteorologists. And then I went to a RotoGrinders party. It was their first one. It was not their first one. It was the first one I had gone to in Vegas. And the community was so excited about what I did. Like every single person I met, I was there with my wife, girlfriend at the time, but wife now. And every person was like, oh my God, you're Kevin Roth. I love what you're doing. You saved me so much. Like, this is incredible. Let me get you a drink. And it made me feel like, oh, okay. I am appreciated by this community a ton. And my wife thought I was the coolest person ever. She was like, I can't believe like you're a big deal for these nerds. But still I was a little bit hesitant on Twitter, but as it kept growing and as I kept doing it, I started getting other meteorologists reaching out to me saying, hey, what you're doing is super cool. Like, tell me about this DFS weather. Tell me about how you got into sports weather. And I realized that my shame or my embarrassment was just because I was doing something so different. I was stepping out of the mold and I wasn't comfortable with that. But I realized that what I'm doing is awesome. It's incredibly cool. There's science behind it. The people support it. And now I'd say once every few months, I have a meteorologist ask me about what I'm doing for RotoGrinders. So once I realized that what I'm doing is really freaking cool and I'm a trailblazer in this industry, I really started leaning into it more. At first I was like, I didn't want to overtweet. I didn't want to do too much. And now I'm like, oh, KBO weather, let's go. Fake Madden sims about video game weather, let's go. And once I embraced it more, I really started to see more of a return on the followers.
Is the Madden simulations the most ridiculous thing you forecasted so far? And I mean ridiculous in the most positive, like the highest possible regard.
No, it's by far the most ridiculous. And to be clear, there's reasons that it's not like I'm doing it. I'm not getting paid to do it. And I'm not doing it because it's like, I think it's super important. Like they reached out to me to do this. And I thought it was a great business partnership, and it is, and it will be, it's something different they're doing for fun. There's no freaking sports. Like, why not play some Madden and have some crazy weather and bring on the weatherman and we'll make jokes about it. Like people probably take it way more seriously than it's intended to be, but mostly it's just building a business partnership is the reason for that. So
you're playing color analyst too, by the way. You're giving like you're breaking down the players, you're breaking down the offenses. You're not even just talking about weather. You're giving it all. I listen to those videos.
You're gonna bring me on. I'm gonna give it 100%. I'm gonna put on my sports coat and I'm gonna step up to the dish.
But, when I talk to DFS guys, this is always a more interesting question, I suppose. But for you, this is like you have a more distinct answer, I suppose. I was going to ask, like what do you tell people when they say, "What do you do for a living?" Like I guess previously when you're doing both jobs, I suppose you would lead with meteorologist, but there's probably some people, I don't know, you meet somebody at dinner parties, that's still a thing. Like when you tell them, they're probably like, "What? I didn't even know that was a job."
Oh yeah, that's the number one. Yeah, that's the number one response. I tell them I do sports weather, and they're like, "What? Like for the teams?" I'm like, "No, for people who play fantasy sports or for sports bettors. If people are putting in some serious money, the weather can impact these games, and they need to know. And I'm the guy who does it." And everyone's like, "Oh my God, that's the coolest job ever." Yeah, I know it is. Yeah, but so half a step back again. Is that all right?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, we'll rewind. So I'm doing two jobs, as you mentioned. I'm doing like the TV thing and the RotoGrinders deal. And the TV thing just keeps getting shittier. Like literally every day I come in. At one point, they moved our whole station into a loading dock, and they had like tarps hung. It was like it was the worst broadcast I had ever seen. I'm like, this isn't good. Like these are not good signs that are happening. And eventually, they fired literally everyone at the whole station. They don't even have a newscast. So they called me and all my friends, and they fired us. And I felt like so insulted. We were doing a really good job. You fired me and my friends, and we were kicking ass. And I was really angry about that. And I thought about, all right, I guess I'll go get another TV job somewhere. And I talked to RotoGrinders about it. And I was like, here's the deal. I'm probably going to get another TV job somewhere. I don't know if I can keep doing this, because most TV jobs probably wouldn't allow me to also do DFS content. It's just, if you're doing the TV gig, that's what you're doing, and that's it. And I talked to them, and we kind of mutually agreed, what if we just do this? What if this is the job? What if we build this and work on link building and use weather for PR? And what if we build out weather and make sure that anytime somebody Googles MLB weather or NFL weather or any sport weather, we're it. And that is the direction I leaned. And where
you specifically had to figure out how to do that? You know how to do that? Is that code? I don't know how that works.
No. We have people way smarter than me at RotoGrinders who help with all that. I just provide the content or some of the ideas. But whenever I was in TV, I just felt unappreciated. I felt like, they didn't care. They'll fire anybody and bring in anybody else. It's a wheel. And at RotoGrinders, it couldn't feel any more different. It feels the complete opposite. These are people that appreciate us and are currently, by the way, employing us through no sports, essentially, or through limited sports. So I just feel loyalty. I feel a strong sense of loyalty to RotoGrinders. That was
you're the host now at the Crunch Time. Of course, I imagine that's how that was sort of worked out. I think you were doing Crunch Time. Maybe you were, maybe you weren't. I don't recall, but I think, is that what you're alluding to as far as building a show around you and working with guys like Andy and Cheese?
Sure. Yeah. That and reaching out, like the thing I'm doing with DraftKings, creating PR or business partnerships and working on link building and things like that to just kind of dominate weather and to make sure that we are the number one source for any and all sports weather. There's big payout in that. There's a lot of people Googling sports weather, as it turns out. So we just got to make sure we're at the top of all those lists. This
TV gig you had, it was a syndicated show out of Dallas, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was in a certain amount of markets.
Yep.
Was it a day show? Was it a night show? Did you shoot live? Okay, go ahead.
It was a live morning TV show. So it was live out of Dallas, and we do all of that. But then in the mornings, I'd have to get there at like 1 a.m. or so. I would do recorded weather hits for each city that we were syndicated in. So I would do like a recorded weather. It was like Philly, Portland, Miami. We were on in Miami. You could have caught me. Houston, Dallas, some of the other cities. But at the end of the day, this is such a rant. I don't even know why I'm going off on an angry TV rant right now, but there's just no loyalty in that business whatsoever. I'm so sick of seeing my friends get fired and not rehired. And like, These are good employees just getting shit on because it's a bad business. It's a bad business model at the end of the day. TV is a sinking ship, and DFS and sports betting is a rocket ship. And there I was at these crossroads of the sinking ship and the rocket ship. Like, what are you going to choose? You're going to cling to that sports betting.
I'm curious, did they have you just focus on weather stuff, or did you also do interviews? I feel like you did sports too. Did you not? I think that was a thing.
Yeah, I was doing, I was the meteorologist. I was a host. I was an anchor. I was a reporter. I did traffic and I did sports.
Wow.
So I was the Swiss Army knife of that station for sure.
Did you figure some of that stuff out on the fly, or were you prepared to talk about things like traffic?
No, yeah, no, God,
no. you're just faking it until you make it, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, the thing that makes TV meteorologists in general pretty useful is that there's no script for weather. When you're on the green screen, you're just ad-libbing the entire 2 or 3 minutes. Everyone else is following a script in the studio. So everyone else is kind of handcuffed to, all right, what you type up for me is what I will say. But a meteorologist generally has a better ability to ad-lib and to improvise than anyone else. So you can kind of put them anywhere, and generally they can figure it out.
How true to life is Anchorman? Is that based on a true story?
It's the irony is the weatherman is the dumbest of all of them. I love Lamp Brick Tamlin. But I'd like to think usually the meteorologist is the smartest person in the building. Maybe not if I'm there, but on average, the weather people are the smart people. So that kind of gives us a bad rap. But what can you do?
Fair enough. I want to get some of your favorites. So you grew up in Florida. Yeah. This is my understanding. Your favorite football team is the New York Giants, correct?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Like many Floridians, my family is from New York. And at a very young age, my dad was just like, we're Giants fans in this family, son. Like that's the way it was. Yeah, that was that. Got me a Tiki Barber jersey and was like, yeah, this is how it is.
Yeah, well, I guess that makes sense. Eli Manning, Hall of Famer?
I have a rule about a Hall of Fame. My friend and I talk about this. If you have to think about it, the answer is no. And that hesitation that I had tells me it should be no. He will make the Hall of Fame, and you could say he deserves it because of the 2 Super Bowl runs. But he was literally never, not ever, one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. At any point in his career, was he the guy that you're like, oh man, we got to go against Eli? That never happened. And if you're never, not even 1 year, a dominant player, you probably shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
But he's going to be.
But he's going to be for sure.
Yeah. Are you bullish? How bullish are you on Daniel Jones?
I'm not. I'm fine. He looks fine. He looks like a typical kid. I don't think he looks that great. I would honestly, this is my hot take, I would so much rather have Jameis Winston than Daniel Jones. It's not even close. Like, by a mile, give me the guy who literally threw for 5,000 yards and I know can move the ball down the field. I don't know if Daniel Jones can move the ball or not.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the argument would be that Jones, in theory, has the ceiling of being a top 5 quarterback in the league. Maybe. I don't think it's probably not going to happen.
So I feel it's the other way. I honestly feel like Jameis has the higher ceiling. If you can somehow get it through his crab stealing hands and head that you don't need to force it and you shouldn't throw so many picks. If he can somehow figure that out in the next year or two, he could literally be elite. He could be amazing in the right situation.
He's still really young.
Yeah, and he's still young. That's the thing. It's not like this guy's 34 or 35. He's young. He's, 27 or something?
26 years old. I just Googled
26. So I would honestly much rather have Jameis. I think a lot of teams should have interest in Jameis, and no one seems to, and it's blowing my mind.
I don't get it either. I'm with you. I all the interceptions, it's interceptions are kind of wonky. Right? There's a big variance to that, and he was throwing the ball a lot too, and their running game stunk. But that's a whole other conversation, I suppose. But basketball, you're a Mavericks fan? How did that work? Your dad not a fan of the Knicks or what?
No, so a huge fan of the Knicks growing up. I've got the John Starks jersey hanging right now in my house to prove it. I was just the biggest Knicks fan because basketball is my sport. That's what I love. That's why I do the basketball crunch time, even though there's no weather. I love basketball and I follow basketball. And growing up, I was just the biggest Knicks fan, and I hated Michael Jordan so much. And this documentary really rub some salt into some wounds there. But eventually, it's just a level of ineptitude that I can't stand for, especially if I'm not even living in that city. If I was living in New York, fine, I'll tough it out. But eventually, I moved to Dallas. They had Dirk Nowitzki. He's incredibly, incredibly likable and fun to watch. They're a fun team. I felt a part of the city, and I was like, you know what, Knicks? 20 years of sucking and making the wrong decision over and over and over. I'm done with you. So I booted the Knicks. I'm no longer into the Knicks.
And you're super excited about Luka as well. And of course, Porzingis, pretty good tandem there in Dallas going forward. And hey, hopefully we get to watch that with the playoffs. Is B around the corner?
Luka is so incredible. Like, he is maybe the second best passer I've ever seen. I think LeBron is probably the best passer I've ever seen. Luka is right there. He is just elite. He is an elite passer, world class, and he's only 19 now. I don't know. He's young. He's insanely young. He's 16.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, he was playing pro when he was 16, 17 years old, whatever it was, which I suppose sped up his development, but it's still pretty amazing what he's doing at such a young age. Baseball, hockey, do we care about these sports?
Not really. Hockey I care about. I'm a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, so that's my one Tampa allegiance. I'm a big Lightning fan. Baseball, the irony is it is the primary thing that I do, and it is by far the sport that I enjoy the least. But I guess go Rays.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
They have some good young talent there. Unfortunately,
they always do.
They don't stick around very long for understandable reasons. And the ballpark. Have you been to the ballpark before? I imagine you have.
I've been like 20 times to that hellhole.
Yeah, it's like a giant warehouse, right?
It's quiet. It's dark. It's just massive. Yeah, it's like a Sam's. It's like going into an empty Sam's. You're just looking around like, what is happening here? Yeah, that needs to go. And it's so annoying because Tampa is such a gorgeous area. You know, there's Tampa, there's St. Pete. There's so many places you could have a cool outdoor stadium on the water with a breeze, retractable roof, or they were talking about having a fan type thing to block the rain but still have it open air. There's so many good things you could do, but instead you have literally the worst park in all of baseball. And that's not even close, right? It's the
Oakland.
worst.
I think Oakland is going to hold my beer on that one. Oakland's pretty terrible as well.
But does Oakland, when you hit a high foul ball, does it get caught in a catwalk?
Which beam did it hit? Did it hit the second beam or the third beam? Because I don't know if it's a home run or if the ball's in play.
It's embarrassing.
Oakland has toilet issues often. Their toilets are...
Oh, that's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
They're known for, and their owner has got billions of dollars. That's not worth getting into. But he's a rich fella.
Yeah.
And I've been to that Tampa Bay hockey game as well too. That's a good time. They have the lightning going off, and
it's so fun. They got like the Tesla coil. Yeah. What
is that? What it's called?
Yeah.
I was saying Stamkos is your guy according to your Twitter machine. That's your favorite player.
Yeah, it was Marty St. Louis back in the day because I love the underdog. I love the little guy. But now Stammers, I love watching the Lightning play. I hope we get hockey back soon. It looks like we may be headed for that, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, apparently I think it's going to be 24 teams, and have you seen how they're ranking it? I guess like the first. I'm doing math right now. The back 8 teams will play 4 qualifiers to get in, and the top 12 are already kind of waiting to get down to 16. I think that's how it's going to work. I don't know what's going to happen with basketball, but we might see something similar to that with basketball. And I'm pretty sure the NBA, the association, wants to make sure Zion gets in there somehow.
Yeah, they should.
He's on the outside looking in.
I'm absolutely okay with that. Make it happen.
They're going to do their best, I think, to get him some play. Speaking of basketball, the RG basketball games, your infamous height video. There was a lot of controversy with how tall that rim was.
Yeah, because
some would say 10 feet, some would say 9, some would say 8.
It was a 10-foot hoop, but the rim was bent forward and it was kind of weak. So I didn't have to get over the rim to dunk. I just had to get to rim level and just kind of jam it forward. So it was a 10-foot hoop, but like it's just a really flimsy rim that I was able to muscle over. And for those who are unaware, just listening, that's right, I dunk.
I don't know. I mean, there was some interesting, the angles were kind of suspicious.
No, that was legit. But yeah, not being able to play in this year's RG basketball tournament because I threw out my back was just crushing. JSU was talking shit. Big T was talking shit. And I will say it now loud and proud.
Make it clear.
I am by far the best basketball player at RotoGrinders.
Whoa.
By far. It's not even very close. It used to, Noto used to be the dude. I don't think Noto really plays anymore.
So he's just rusty is what you're saying, basically.
I think he's just a little rusty, and I don't, if he starts playing again, Noto was really good like 3 years ago. He could be really good again, but I don't think he plays. If the nearest person is a 7, I'm a 10. That's maybe a little much.
Hey,
but really,
I mean, yeah, drop the gauntlet, see what happens.
Right,
So we'll see who answers the bell.
Mostly, I would have whooped JSU's ass. Let me make that very clear, JSU, if you're listening. I would have absolutely mauled you.
Oh, man. Well, there you go. The gauntlet's been dropped for next year. It'll be good times for sure. And hopefully you'll heal up by then. And what about Andy? What's the deal? What's Andy's excuse? He had injuries as well, or he can't live up to the hype of being a former Duke athlete?
He played.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. Not a great sign if you don't remember. No, he played a little bit. He just kind of, jogged up and down the court, shot some open shots, which apparently is what he did in college anyways. But yeah.
Yeah, Andy was on, and I told him he's got the record. He's got the college record for shooting in the tournament, 100%. He's, let's not get into sample size, but he's never missed a shot.
Yeah, can't beat that. Can't beat 100%.
I believe he's 2 for 2, but good for Andy. That's pretty awesome. You can't take away that from him, I suppose.
No.
Some of your other favorites. Let's see. You have a favorite movie?
Goodfellas is a quick one that comes to mind. It's such a good movie.
Sure.
Maybe I like Spaceballs, but I'm not gonna watch it a million times. I like shitty movies like Face Off or The Rock, like those 90s action movies that are so bad but so good.
It's a fine line, right? There's a terrible and then there's like a good terrible, and Nick Cage has mastered it, I think.
Yes, exactly. Recent movies that I really truly enjoyed, recent I mean like in the last decade, are Moana. Don't sleep on Moana. That movie is so good. Moana, you have to watch Moana. It's incredible. And Baby Driver. Have you seen Baby Driver?
Yeah, that was good. I liked it.
So good. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I saw you were asking on Twitter. You're basically saying you've been behind, and people threw some recommendations your way. I'm not sure if you had anybody up. That's a good way to get a bunch of responses on Twitter, and then you get like 70 movies and I get to watch all of a sudden.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. But I'm a movie guy, but my wife not so much. So halfway into a slow movie, she's like, "This movie sucks." I'm like, "Oh, we don't even know the twist. Come on, you gotta watch it."
Is there a TV show you watch together?
Now everything. Now with COVID, like whatever it is, let me know. We'll watch it. We're struggling.
What has stood out?
What do we watched some Ray Donovan? That seemed pretty good.
Okay.
Enjoying that. What's some
Ray Donovan's couple friendly. I wasn't aware of that.
I mean, there's sex and killing, right?
I've stumped you, by the way. It's the first question that you
I'm not much of a TV guy, to be honest with you. That's like, I'll watch some shows, but that's more my wife's thing. She'll kind of watch, and I'd rather do a lot of other things, but I'll kind of, it's on, I'll watch. I'd rather watch sports. I'd rather watch basketball. There's no greater joy in my life than watch. This is bad because I just had a daughter. There's no greater joy in my life.
You can walk it back if you want.
Than watching basketball. No, I'm sticking with it. When I watch good basketball being played, I'm just looking at the TV. I'm giggling. I'm cackling. I'm like, oh my God, hon, did you see that? Did you see that pass? Like, it is the most exciting thing in the world to me. And I just cannot wait to be able to watch basketball again.
What about your favorite live at the game sports moments? Does something kind of stand out for you?
Hockey's the best to go to the games. I mean, there was not one particular. One time in a hockey game, the Lightning were down 2 goals with like 1 minute left. Like, all right, this game is over. And I had seats like pretty close, right behind where the camera guy is.
Oh, nice.
And so we scored a goal, and we're like, all right, we're down 1. We pulled the goalie, we've got the advantage. We score another goal with like 3 seconds left to put in overtime. And I'm just going ape shit. I'm like jumping up and down, and unbeknownst to me, the camera guy had panned over, and I'm just on TV, just like, going nuts. All my friends are texting me like, "You look crazy, sir."
The crowd's like, "Hey, that's Kevin Roth."
Yeah, no. The local celebrity does not extend that far.
So you've been somebody in real life has said, "Aren't you Kevin Roth from RotoGrinders?" Outside of like an RG party, you've been recognized, right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool when that happens. I get very, very excited when I get the
Do you want to take a
RotoGrinders
picture?
recognition. Yeah, I walk around with like my RotoGrinder shirt all the time. Like, someone asked me. Yeah, there's, I guess in Texas, what you can play FanDuel and DK, so there should be more of that. There probably would be if I ever left my house. I think that might make it more.
Is that a current state, or is that's always kind of been, you've always been kind of a homebody thing?
I'm pretty much a homebody. I stay at home. I go to the gym. I go grocery shopping. Those are like those are the three things I do.
You go to Home Depot if you have time on the weekends.
Right? Yeah. I don't know if I'll have time.
You're having too much fun, Rob.
Yeah. Once you get married, it really, like, I used to go out because there'd be a reason to go out. There's, at the end of the night, there could be a reward. But you're married. It's just, you're married. Like, what do you want to do? Let's stay in. We can hang out. I like you. You like me. We're good. All right, cool. So we just stay in.
How is date night affected, or just whatever, a Friday night, Saturday night, whatever it may be, or dinner plans affected by, hey, I got to sit here and forecast this Texas game because it's going to be really close?
Yeah, there's been some times. I've definitely had some nights, like date nights, where I'm sneaking away to the bathroom a suspicious amount to like update the Twitter account. And she gets it. She's understanding, and she's super appreciative of the job. So she really doesn't mind. The KBO thing kind of pisses her off because all the time I do it late because I want to post it as late as possible so that I know, to the best of my knowledge, what the weather will do. So it's like 10 o'clock and we're getting ready for bed. And I'm like, all right, I got to do the KBO. And she's like, damn it, will you please start doing that? Like, not at 10 o'clock.
Well, you can't do it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because then it wouldn't be. I'm not getting involved. I'm not picking sides.
Exactly. That's what I said. I'm going to tell her that's what Dean said.
No, don't tell her that. She's lovely.
But no, that's exactly how I feel.
I saw you tweeted about this. Like, I think you were on vacation in Portugal, and you had to sneak away in Portugal and do a baseball update, which is, again, not ideal, but you're dedicated to your job. We appreciate that as DFSers.
I feel pretty strongly that like the cumulative hours that I work are not that taxing. So I don't like taking vacation days, especially during baseball season. Like, I don't like taking days off because this is what I do. I am the go-to source for sports weather. I feel like I should always be there no matter what it is. If it's sports and it's weather, I should be there to do that. Like, I feel like I'm on call.
You're Cal Ripken, man. No days off. You don't want to get Wally Pitt. I understand.
I think my last day off was for my wedding.
Is that how is Portugal? Any other like favorite travel destinations you've taken you can recommend?
Yeah. I travel a lot. For my honeymoon, we went into the Amazon. That was a terrible idea. If you're going on your honeymoon, don't take your wife to the Amazon rainforest. It's literally a jungle. It's very hot and there are a lot of bugs. It's not very comfortable.
It's a giant place, right? Is there? How do you narrow it down? Like, I don't. Isn't the Amazon like a massive place? So how do I?
It's huge. So we were in Colombia, and then we did a couple nice places in Colombia, like Bogota and Cartagena, and then I dragged her down to the Amazon, and then she wanted to kill me. But the favorites, I would say, like, it's one of the best places. I think the best place if you can travel internationally, and it's easy and it's cheap and maybe too many people do it, but it's so awesome that you should just do it anyways, is Thailand. It's easy to get to. It is comically inexpensive. Like, we got flights out there for under $400 round trip, and you can order everything on the menu and they bring it to you, and it's like $15, and you ordered everything and 6 beers. The hotels are cheap. Just everything about Thailand is and it's friendly. It's not dangerous. It's just such a good spot to travel. So I would recommend everybody does that. And then,
is that Bangkok or somewhere else?
We did Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and then kind of some of the islands a little farther south. But yeah, go to Thailand. It's if you're wondering where you should go, it's cheap and it's so fun. The thing about Thailand is that the locals love getting drunk with you. Like, there are some places where you don't get to hang out with the locals. Like, my wife really wanted to go to Egypt. You don't really get to hang out with the locals in Egypt because you're terrified. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get kidnapped in Egypt. I have no idea. So you just stay in your house, your hotel. It's kind of boring. You go to Thailand, everybody there is just like, let's get drunk. And that's what I want to do anyways. So it works out super well. We were out to like 4 a.m. with locals, just dancing and drinking and having a great time.
I found this on your Twitter as well. Weirdly high on my bucket list.
Oh God!
Swim with a wild whale. Oh, you put wild in parentheses. I guess you don't want to like one of those SeaWorld whales that are just a little more tepid.
Yeah. Well,
you want a wild whale.
That doesn't count. You can't have a.
You're probably wild
whale.
too, for the record. I imagine.
It defeats the whole purpose. Yes. I don't know why. I was randomly watching like a Prudential commercial or something. I don't know, whatever, where the whale comes out and the tail slaps. Is that Prudential? I have no idea.
I don't know.
Investment banking ones. And I was like, how cool would that be? I've seen people swim with whales. This is what I'm going to do. This is my number one bucket list item is I'm going to find where there's a whale and I'm going to jump off my boat into the water with that whale. And
They're not just like waiting for you. It's not a GPS.
You got to get ahead of them. You got to forecast for them. You got to cut them off and then you dive in and then they like play with you. They're like, oh, cool, human. And swim around a little. I don't know if that's how it works, but.
Have you started with dolphins or any other animals, or you just want to jump right to the whales?
I want to go straight to whales. Like dolphins are really cool, but they're not as cool as a whale. Yeah. Like I did the one time I took an ex-girlfriend on the dolphin ride thing. You know, you can go to like SeaWorld and you ride a dolphin.
Yeah.
That wasn't very fun. You know, it was like, oh, okay. I like mounted. I kind of mounted it, and you hold on to the dorsal fin. But then, like, the back tail just repeatedly was, like, hitting me in the junk as it was going up and down. I'm just getting pummeled repeatedly in the junk by a dolphin. I'm paying, like, $100 for this.
Seems Does like the dolphin enjoy this?
I don't know. They like, give him extra food, so, you know, probably.
That's understood. Let this guy ride your fin.
Like, all right, fine. We'll beat up on this guy's testes real fast.
That feels like that might not be coincidental. I'm not really sure, but
right. It seemed intentional to me at the time.
I mean, look, we can. I mean, I have no ability, no suggestion as far as how to fulfill that dream, but I think it's doable. I think
so.
Is there any place that would like do that though? Like as a business to ride a whale? I think you should run into one.
No, that seems unlikely. No, there's got to be a business where they can be like, you know, swim with dolphins bucket list. I'm going to Google swim with dolphins bucket list, and I feel pretty good about that. You don't want to get in with a killer whale because they'll kill you.
Well, there's no like pre-interview though. I don't think you just sort of got to go for it.
That's probably true. All right, hang on.
You might have to sign a waiver or something. I want to end with this one, Roth. I've kept you long enough, kept about an hour or so. I've thoroughly enjoyed you giving us your time. Why do you hate Giannis Antetokounmpo? Why do you hate Giannis?
I'm sorry. I thought you were almost done because you just started another 30 minutes. No, I don't hate Giannis. Let me be very clear to all the people from Milwaukee. I had no idea there were so many people that lived in Milwaukee that hit me up all the time telling me I'm an idiot. Stick to weather, Roth.
Yes.
Stick to weather. Also, don't tell people to stick to one thing. Like, I have an accountant telling me stick to weather. I don't tell him stick to accounting. Like, you're allowed to have opinions and thoughts.
That's my response, Roth. Whenever somebody tells me stick to sports or stick to this, I go and look at their profile, and it says, okay, you can only complain about tweets that are accounting related. Deal?
Yeah, that's so ridiculous. That one really. That annoys the hell out of me.
You could know two things or have opinions on two different things. Right. It's possible.
Yeah, I'm allowed to like sports and be a meteorologist. That is allowed, especially a sports meteorologist. I'm more qualified to bitch about things than the accountant is. Anyways, Giannis, I don't hate Giannis. I just don't think Giannis is the best player in the NBA. I don't think it's particularly close. LeBron is significantly better, and I think there's probably other players that are better than Giannis as well. And if you can't shoot the ball, you can't win a championship in today's NBA. If your star can't shoot, you're screwed, period. That's all I was saying. This was last year. All I was saying was the Bucks can't win it because Giannis can't shoot. And in the end of games, teams are going to turtle around the basket and they're going to make Giannis shoot. And in the end of games, Giannis looked awful because he couldn't shoot and he didn't have confidence in his shots. He was turning it over. He was disappearing from the game completely, not touching the ball. And unless he learns to shoot, which he can do because he's young, They can't win a championship. That's all I was saying. I don't hate Giannis. That's it.
Well, you need more than 280 characters to say all that. You know, the things have nuance and context, and like people don't. They just want to argue. Like,
exactly. So I've turned into like the world's greatest Giannis hater when I don't. Like I truly don't. I just don't think he's the best player in the NBA, and I will be pretty mad if he wins MVP over LeBron, because LeBron is just head and shoulders above Giannis. It's not even close.
I was going to actually you when you said you have to be able to shoot the ball to win a championship with Shaq, but you added the qualifier in today's game.
In today's game.
Yeah, big man have to learn how to shoot. And Giannis, he's getting there. He's still young, I think. 25, 26.
He could learn. And if he can learn how to shoot, holy crap. Like he will be the best player in the NBA by kind of a lot if he can learn to shoot. Because then you'd have to guard him. And then he takes one dribble and dunks on everyone. He would literally be unstoppable. But currently, he is stoppable.
When you say one dribble, you mean from like his side of the court, one dribble to the basket, and he's already there.
It's incredible.
His strides are ridiculous.
He is an athletic freak. But
Roth, I appreciate your time. Tell the people where they can find you. Of course, you already have your 45,000 plus Twitter followers. Tell them where they can find your content for KBO. Tell them where they can find your content for the Madden simulations. Anything else you want to get out there to the people. I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me as your 90-second guest. I appreciate
Power
that.
Rankings, Roth,
yeah. 92. The best, I put everything on RotoGrinders. It's literally all on RotoGrinders. There's little tabs. If you want NFL weather, you go to the NFL tab, look down, NFL weather, MLB weather, whatever it is. I also tweet everything. You can find me on Twitter at Kevin Roth, WX. If you're going to say something nasty, you're going to get blocked. 3 strikes. Remember, you get 3 strikes and then you're out. But yeah, follow me on Twitter at Kevin Roth, WX. And I basically just spam sports weather information and occasional hot takes about Giannis Antetokounmpo.
That was Kevin Roth. I was Dean. Thank you for listening to The Morning Grind. We're out of here. Holler.